Hello and welcome everyone to For the Love of Emails Holiday Season 2021 videocast series. I am Tejas Pitka, Senior Product Evangelist at Netco Cloud, and today we'll be discussing holiday season emails with Ryan Phelan, who is the Managing Director of RPE Origin and also a very reputed email thought leader. Welcome to the videocast, Ryan.
Thanks. Great to be here. This will be fun.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great to have you here. Uh, so talking about the upcoming holiday season, how do you think this holiday season will be any different from the last year? Or do you think there will be similar trends to what we saw back in 2020?
Yeah. I think that 2021 is going to be kind of a conglomeration of what we did in 2019 and what we did in 2020 and what we'd like to, it's going to be a mishmash. Last year, what we saw was retailers pulled back Black Friday. They pulled back the start of the holiday season. I think we see that. But what we have this year that we kind of had last year was supply chain problems. And there's news articles and people talking a lot of places about buy your Christmas gifts early. I just asked my niece and nephew and family for their Christmas gifts, right? Because I'm going to get them ordered because I know what the supply chain looks like. So I think there's going to be some unique challenges this year. Add to that the some people will go back to the store, some people order from home. You're going to have a really big mix. The reliance on online may not be as big as it was last year. So I really do think it's going to be a mix of what we saw in 2019, what we saw in 2021. Somewhere in between is what we're going to have. It's going to be a challenge for marketers to try and navigate that. But I would assume that most retailers that this is their season have already planned for that. They know when their kickoff to holiday is. They know when their sales are going to be. They're following, for the most part, the corporate stance or the corporate path that backs into different media and all that. The challenge for the email marketer is going to be, how do you innovate in that mess, right? And
Yeah,
so it's really about looking at what can you do during that time. Can you mix up your email a little bit more? Can you apply a different segmentation strategy? Can you launch one extra email that's more valuable than the others? Can you introduce some fun into it? So I think the marketer has to adjust, just like everybody else is going to have to adjust. And interestingly enough, I think it's going to be a fun season to watch, to be honest.
yeah. And probably marketers might have to stock up their inventories way before they have to, back in 2020 because of
Yeah,
the supply
I
chain
think
problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about typical big box retail, they put all their orders in for holiday in the beginning of the year, right? I can remember
Right.
working at Sears and working with other retailers where your Christmas inventories were decided in March,
Oh,
you
wow.
know,
Okay.
and so that's they did all their orders on thinking about what was going to happen in Q4. For the smaller retailers, maybe not that much, but there is a bit of planning that goes into holiday and getting inventory. So I think there's going to be that case where when it's out, it's out. And if you really want something, it's not a time to sit around and wait for a sale because it may not be there when you get there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Really great point. Uh, so with the pandemic now throughout 2020, it's been like a very steep learning curve for marketeers over there. They had to chip and chop their email programs, pivot their strategies. So what are some of the lessons that, I mean, even you personally have learned from last season's holiday campaigns that you can apply to this season?
Yeah. That it's empathy. That's the big thing we learned last year was empathy from the brand perspective, and I think we saw that a lot in the holiday time frame last year, and that's one thing that was refreshing to see it translate into all of the different channels, email specifically, because it's that proactive nature of email. I think the other thing that happened last year that I learned from is that norms are not necessarily meant to not be broken, right? Think about it this way.
Yep.
Our holidays for years and years and years started on the day after Thanksgiving and ran until the shipping deadline. Last year we blew that away and said, oh, let's, and we just had longer commercials, but it started back in October, right? And first in November hit, and it was full on holiday.
Yeah.
And so I think that translates well for the email marketer to say, listen, just because it's been done doesn't mean it needs to continue to be done. So what
Yeah.
can you do to buck the trend? What can you do to break Black Friday? And I think that what I learned last year is that uh, if we're authentic and we look at the reality of the situation and meet that need, but then also the ability to pivot as fast as every email marketer pivoted last year,
Yeah.
going from regular marketing to chaotic marketing to all the things we saw, it gives me a little bit more of a smile to know that email marketers and marketers in general can meet that demand and pivot when they need to.
Right. That's a great point. I think, whether there's a pandemic or not, I think marketers still need to apply that empathy this season as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not just all about the sale, right?
Yeah.
Last year
Yeah.
we saw it wasn't about, you could offer 50% off. It wasn't going to change very many people's opinions about where to go, what to do. You
Right.
taught an entire cohort of people how to shop online. You taught an entire cohort of people how to pick up at curbside. You changed people's behavior, and that's another thing that I think that we need to account for is that marketers last year taught a whole new cohort of people how to shop online
Yeah.
that had never shopped online before.
Right.
This is their second year. How are you specifically meeting their needs, their questions, their pain points, their reservations? How are you doing that? What's your active strategy there? Because unlike any other point in time, you have a sizable cohort that is relatively new to this whole thing. And
Yeah.
so is your app ready? Are your emails ready? Do your out of stock, out of delayed purchase? Is all those tuned up? Are they ready to go? So
Right.
I think that brings an added dimension to this year that we have not had historically since the beginning of the internet, or beginning of what we know as the internet from a retail perspective.
Absolutely. It's like marketers built a machine the last year, and now they have to make sure that it's running smoothly as ever.
It runs. Yes, you built this thing. It better run.
Yeah. So, for marketers who are watching this, what will be your one suggestion that you can give them? One thing that they can change in the email programs this holiday season in order to make the programs more efficient?
Mm. The fun thing is we learned agile marketing last year.
Yeah.
We learned how to pivot and how to release something as an iteration and build upon it, right? We learned how to pivot fast.
Yeah.
And I think in the last year, with things opening up, we may have fallen back into our normal way of doing things. Maybe we slowed down, and we needed to slow down. We went like a rat on a wheel
Yeah.
kind of fast last year, and I won't diss anybody for taking it easy in the last 9 months. But I think that the biggest thing that I would say is with the fluidity that exists and the differentiation in that fluidity over 2020, we need to remember how to be agile. We need to remember that we're not going to sacrifice the perfect for the good. We're not going to get bogged down, that we're going to look at process in a different way from a speed to market and from an efficiency standpoint, almost like tightening the belt, right? So if there's one piece of advice I would say is don't forget what agile means, what agile marketing represents, what it can accomplish and did accomplish. Tap back into that, because I think the fluidity in the market is going to demand that. And do your research, be connected. I've talked and this goes along with the agile, right? How do you inform agile? Well, one of the things I've talked about for the last year and a half is watching the news, being involved in social media and watching what customer expectations are, Look at what your customers are going through, what's happening at the store level. If you haven't, if you don't know what they're doing at the store level for holiday, you really should know, right? Go to a store manager, go to a district manager, go to a anything, right? And
Yeah,
find that out. I think that's going to help inform your agile strategy, um, because you're going to need it, right?
absolutely. Stay agile, stay flexible, and be connected to what's going
Hmm.
on in your market. Absolutely.
Yep.
So now you have worked with different brands. You've got a really rich marketing experience of almost more than 2 decades. Can you discuss like one holiday season campaign, even in your recent memory? It could be last year, could be year before that, that got you major results, and what kind of things that you actually did with it in order to get those kind of results?
I'll go back to my days at Sears. So I ran the email program for Sears and Kmart for a while, and what we did in such a short amount of time, I was only there a little over a year and a half, but got to experience 2 holidays, I believe. It felt like 2 holidays. Um, and what I remember is that Sears at the time was very data focused. They took
Mhm.
segmentation and modeling very seriously. We had a great agency partner that we worked with, and I had a great agency team, including strategists. Gretchen Scheinman was one of my strategists, and
Yeah,
she's a wizard, right?
yeah, she's
But
amazing. Yeah,
we were so connected to the data that the program was not just a coordinated strategy between all the channels, and it was data dependent, and it really did make a lot of sense. And that's from a return on investment standpoint, we were playing around with the dynamic creation of an email at the time of send based upon a propensity model. And
okay.
I can tell you the results, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was like 2-3x return on investment over
Oh,
the control, because we ordered all of it. Was not only just putting the content in, but it was ordering it based upon your propensity to buy.
hmm,
And it was just an amazing eye-opening experience into the power of data, right? Now couple that with what Sears used to do with their holiday strategy and the segmentation and the complexity of that. It's an example of when the organization comes together with a goal that
yeah,
also respects the channel and the achievement of that goal, that you find success. It wasn't just we're going to advertise X and everybody's going to repeat it out and throw up all over our customers. It's that we have a goal and here's the theme. Now adapt that theme to your channel. And that's the key. That's the key, because you don't want to lose the specific behaviors that go into an email program or social media or direct mail or
yeah,
whatever, right? We were able to bring our designs, our adaptations to group meetings and put them on a wall and say, here's how we've adapted to our channel. And it was, as an organization, uh, accepted and blessed and carried forth. And that's, I think, an example to other companies, other retailers, about asking for adaptation of a message, not just regurgitation of a message.
right. And probably being more data focused. Uh,
More data focused, right? I mean,
yeah,
we see inbox volume go up every year, and we saw it go crazy, insane levels last year, right?
yeah,
Consumers more and more need to cut through that clutter. And the
yeah,
only way to do that is a reliance on the data and data sciences. It's not just about, if you do simple segmentation, RFM, great, fantastic, at least you're doing something. But the next step up from that is model data that's looking at different data points and how they connect,
yeah,
and how they connect to your product offering, right? You want better open rates, click through rates, all these rates. Start giving customers what they want. Start trying to
yeah,
predict what they need. And the data is the only way through that. And I think that the more a retailer relies on that data to power the message, the
yeah.
more successful they are. And we just see that in case study after case study after case study.
Yeah. And I think with Apple privacy coming up now, there's going to be a need for marketers to just look at the overall customer interaction rather than just on the email channels, because that's not going
Oh
to be
yeah,
reliable anymore.
Tejas, if you're not careful, you're gonna have to put a little rant thing at the bottom of this because, I mean, I've been preaching that since Apple announced this, right?
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
Let the open rate die. Let's focus on everything else. Let's focus on the downstream effect. Let's focus on click. Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to expand um, your indicator of success. Your indicator of success is looking at intent, and if you look at intent on a matrix, an open is a very small intent, but a click, huge.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the first blogs that I read once the announcement was made. That was your blog, and I absolutely remember when you said that you need to look at the performance matrix to, know your true customer intent, and that's going to be super important
Yep.
now. Yeah,
Yep.
superb.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Ryan. Those were some great email insights. I hope viewers can take some really good practical implementations from this conversation. Start implementing them right away for the holiday season. The earlier you start, as Ryan said, the better it's going to be. Thanks so much, Ryan, for joining us on this video
You
cast.
bet.
To the listeners, we'll be back soon with more actionable insights and tips in order to maximize your email results. If you wish to scale your email performance to the next level, then please get in touch with one of our experts on networkcloud.com. Till then, this is Tejas and Ryan signing off.
Thank you, guys.